So when I found out I was pregnant, you can imagine it was very difficult because I'm not married, I'm pregnant, no job, just coming out of uni. So it was very difficult because in that moment, especially the person I was with, he wasn't too keen on me actually keeping the child. So with me not being unsure and him being unsure, you can imagine the position I was in. I was leaning more to actually not keeping the child, but then I was still seeking God because I was brought up in a Christian, household. I've personally, for myself, developed my relationship with God, so I was still praying to God about it. And I remember I was at a point where I needed to make that decision, but I was really leaning to not keeping the child. And then while I was in prayer and seeking God for him to come through for me, for him to reveal himself to me, I then heard a still voice. And that's the first time ever that I really heard God speak to me clearly. And he basically told me that, that I should keep her and look out, that he will look after her. I can't explain it, but in that moment, the peace of God really just came upon me. The peace that surpasses all understanding, that scripture. It was like, though I was in that situation, in that circumstance, I should not have peace. I should be worried. I should be anxious. But when God spoke to me, I just felt calm. I felt that I was not worried about what was going to happen. I wasn't worried about me not having a job. I wasn't worried about the future. God just gave me that peace, So I held on to that. And now all of a sudden I was bold. I was like, yeah, okay, so God, this is what you said. And I know when you say something, you're going to do it. So I said, okay, God, God knew. And one thing about God, he knows when to come to you in a moment that you're in a really bad situation. And he knows how to get through to you. And he knew that I needed to hear him in that moment. And he was right. So in that moment, I chose to trust him. So ever since then, I allowed God to move the way he needed to move by just resting in him. So even from when my parents found out how I was pregnant. So how they found out was my mom actually had a dream. Obviously, I didn't know this till after, but she had a dream and she said God told her that I was pregnant. And she told my dad. And then my dad came to my room and he said, oh, he wants to talk to me. So I said, oh, okay. And even that, God already was preparing me, saying that your parents are going to know, they're going to find out. So when he came, I said, oh, this is it. This is the day. This is the day. And then that's how he asked me the question, if I'm pregnant. And I told him that I was. And then in that moment, he called my mum, he told my mum, and then my mum left work, she came, she went to the supermarket, she bought me all these fruits and veg, and she came through the door and she was like, why didn't you tell us? Obviously they were disappointed, but even in their disappointment, they still let me know that they're there for me and we're in this together. God really manifested in that moment and showed his love through my parents. And ever since then, I've seen God's hand and his promises from when he told me he will look after my daughter. Even before I knew she was a girl, he's already told me he will look after her. That's when I knew I was going to have a girl. And ever since then, from me getting a job, because I didn't have a job, I didn't have money, and I needed to do my room, and Elizabeth needed a cot, Elizabeth needed all sorts of things. But God provided in that moment with the job and the extra shifts, and I was able to save. I was able to do the room the way I wanted to do the room and get everything that I needed. That was God. It was just amazing. And then I started working, and then, even choosing school for my daughter, she didn't get any of her choices that I'd picked for her, and I was like, oh God, I don't want to appeal. And when we were searching, I said, okay, God, you know what, I trust you, because you've done it before. Sometimes when you're in a situation and you seem like there's no hope, God will remind you, say, am I not the God that, you don't remember what I did for you? I'm not the God that provided for you one time like this. So I'm the same God yesterday, today, and forever. So trust me. I said, okay, I'm going to trust you. Then normally you will appeal for, if you're not happy with a decision, or you have to apply to another school. But God did it again. Like, I just got a letter. I got a letter through the post. 2 letters. One was the one that we decided to pick because she didn't get any of the scores. So we got 2 letters, and the other one was the one that she did not get accepted to. And it was the school that's outside the catchment area. It was that it's only God. That's all I can say. It's only God. And that again reinforced the promise that he had made for me from the beginning, and for the fact that I trusted him throughout the whole process, and me being obedient. When you're obedient to God, the blessings that flow from that, even when you don't know what's ahead, but trusting that God has already gone ahead of you, trusting that, you know, that he loves you unconditionally, to the point that he wants the best for you. So the scripture that talks about, for the plans I have for you is plans to prosper you, not to harm you. Even in that situation where you feel like God can't do it, you feel like God can't do it. You feel like, okay, God, I know you say this, but I don't see it for myself. And I was in that situation. But God, because I held on to him, irrespective of how I felt, or irrespective of how my situation looked, he just began to show himself. And it's because I was obedient to him right from the beginning. And it's still going. I'm still excited for what he has in store for me, because of what he's done for me throughout this whole journey. And once God has spoken a word, it never returns back to him void. And I can definitely see that, you know, planning out. So anyone who's going through no matter what it is, even though it seems like all hope is gone, like God, he says he'll never leave us nor forsake us. And we have to trust the word that he has already spoken and rest in him in those situations, because I kid you not, he will definitely see you through. Like, seasons, they come and they go, and even through that I had to heal, and even the healing process as well, you have to allow God to do that, to work in you, to bring out the fruits that he intends for you to have. And that's what I'm also had to do throughout my whole journey. But yeah, it's been amazing. And tell them your name.
My name's Elizabeth.
And how old are you?
6 years old.
So this is Elizabeth. So blessed, you know. But yeah, so God is good. Isn't he good, Elizabeth?
Yeah.
All the time?